Morning, guys. Saturday morning reading. No announcements, no fanfare. Let's just get to the book. Chapter 12. 12, yeah. For several days, Reddy basked in the glory of being one of the few people in town to have witnessed the marriage of Lola Montez. He'd even attended the wedding breakfast and waved goodbye when the bride and groom had left town by riverboat. It wasn't just Max and the other newsboys who asked about it. Reporters from the Whig and the Alta California pressed him for details about what the bride wore, what food was served, what might have been said about Lola's future plans. All Reddy knew was that Lola had decided to take her spider dance to Sacramento and points beyond. What about Pat Hull? Reddy could only shrug. He didn't know. While still glowing from his newfound notoriety, Reddy received a letter from Marcus Selden, father's friend who had taken on a new partner at Agafia Creek and didn't need Reddy's help anymore. On a different day, Reddy would have felt bitterly disappointed, but now it only made him yearn more forcefully for Pat Hull's return. He wanted to get started in earnest in that apprenticeship. No one at the Whig knew anything more either. Hull had given no instructions for his absence. The paper didn't publish on Sunday or Independence Day, as promised. Reddy took his brothers to see July 4th festivities at the plaza. Remember, they got married July 2nd, so this is just 2 days later. At 10 o'clock, the National Lancers started the parade. 40 young men in smart blue uniforms proudly rode their horses down Kearny Street. They were followed by dozens of other militia groups around the state, banners fluttering in the breeze. When all the troops were in position, John Sutter rode up to City Hall on a horse and dismounted. The well-known pioneer climbed the steps, reviewing the platform. There was big commotion. Someone threw a lit firecracker into a store selling fireworks. It landed in the middle of a bin of rockets, and it set off a chain reaction. The store was suddenly engulfed in flames as panicked people fled in all directions. Reddy and his brothers ducked down an alley to avoid being trampled by the crowd. Somehow, the Empire One Fire Company made it through the chaotic streets and extinguished the flames. Then the California Guard fired a 32-gun salute in the air, and John Sutter and his military battalion paraded out of Portsmouth Square. The next day, Reddy returned home to find Lydia sitting on the front porch with his brothers. "Look what was waiting for me at the post office." She handed him a small leather case. Inside was a photograph, a daguerreotype, and it was a likeness of a young man sporting a full beard. The fellow's nose was bent to one side as if it had been broken. Joseph. "That's your brother." "Read this." "Dearest Cousin Lydia, this parcel and letter arrived sometime after your message explaining about your ordeal with the ship the Independence. We are relieved to learn that you survived the sinking and you're well, and by reading this enclosed letter, Joseph is well too. We'll pray you find each other soon. Cousin Mildred and family." Lydia handed Reddy another letter. March 28th, 1853. Remember, it's July 4th, 1853. "Sissy Lyd, I send you enclosed likeness since it will be a long time before you see me in person. I've just experienced the most horrendous winter. I spent 4 months trapped by snow in a miner's cabin by the North Fork of the Yuba River. I probably could have gotten myself out, but my friend and mining partner was deathly ill. I couldn't leave him alone. What dreary hours I spent in the cabin, buried by 20 feet of snow. I dug a hole from the door to the surface so I could occasionally climb out and look around. After our provisions ran out, I managed to shoot a deer. We feasted for days. Later, when food ran low again, I boiled the bones till they shone like polished ivory. Eventually, Alpha felt better, and snow melted for us to leave. I left him with friends in Downeyville. Then I found my way to Marysville, 80 miles to the south. There I chanced upon a traveling daguerreotypist, remember that's a photographer, who made this portrait. He needed an assistant, and he hired me right away. So, as you sit comfortably in Aunt Clarissa's parlor studying this face, know the owner is tramping about the wilds of California, making likenesses, photographs of homesick miners to send to their families. I'll write when I can. My love to you. Your brother, Joseph Peckin. I'll mail this in Auburn, but keep sending my letters to San Francisco. Letters from you are waiting for me even now. I'll send for them when I can. Keep writing. Reddy grabbed Lydia's hand and spun her around the porch. Hugh and Charles joined in, and soon the four of them collapsed on a heap of laughter. Reddy thought Lydia's beaming face could be more beautiful than ever. He felt Tiny a little tug at his heart, and his cheeks burned. No one noticed, though. His brothers scrutinized Joseph's picture. Then, Reddy, remembering something, "Lydia, I met a traveling daguerreotype in Sacramento." He told her about the man who bought the newspapers. "How many portrait takers could there be?" "I don't know, but this man said he had just hired an assistant, and he was staying near Marysville." "Lydia, it has to be him. Do you remember his name?" At first he could not, but then he remembered the image he had shown him. It said Wallace's Daguerrean Saloon. "He's Clarence Wallace." "How do we find him?" "I don't know, but we have more to go on than we did before." Reddy took another look at the likeness of Joseph Peckham. "Your brother looks like you, Lydia. He has the same kind of intelligent eyes. I suspect under that beard of his, he has the same determined jaw." Just then Horace Fitz came walking up the street towards the house. Lydia jumped up and ran to him. "Horace, you'll never guess what was waiting at the post office." Reddy watched Lydia, talking and laughing with Horace. He felt jealousy, as he had felt at the theater the weeks before. He turned to his brothers. "Come on, boys. Mom needs our help." The following day, Reddy returned from selling newspapers. He saw Pat Hall stepping into a carriage outside the Wig. Reddy was a block away. "Mr. Hall," he shouted, breaking into a run. "Mr. Hall!" The Irishman didn't hear him. Before Reddy could reach him, the carriage disappeared around the corner. Inside the newspaper, he learned that Pat Hall sold the Wig. The new owners would rename it the Commercial Advertiser. Reddy could sell papers if he liked, but nothing more. His apprenticeship ended even before it began. So, that's chapter 12. We'll leave it there for Saturday. I'm going to take a day off tomorrow. We'll pick it up on Monday. Have a good weekend. Be creative. And move. Go for long walks. Do some yoga. Okay. Talk to y'all soon.